Hey guys, welcome to another East Coast Rams podcast. I am your co-host Ashton here with my awesome co-host Zach, and you're on that side. It always gets me because StreamYard likes switch it up. Guys, Merry Christmas. I hope everyone had a nice, wonderful, fun-filled holiday with the family and friends. I know I did. I got a lot of nice Rams gear from the big man himself. Santa was very nice to me and my family this year. Very blessed. First off, Zach, how was Christmas? We kind of took a break, guys. Try to enjoy family and stuff. How did it all go? How was Santa? How were the kids? And yeah, did you get any Rams goodies?
Yeah, I think it was a good year for all of us during Christmas time. Kids are so small that they really get to enjoy it. So getting to see them experience Christmas is like none other. And yeah, definitely got some good Rams gear. Got a coffee mug, got a sweatshirt, got one of the rivalry hats. I should have wore it today, but I did not. But yeah, it was a good Christmas, very good Christmas. Glad to be back though, talking football. Disappointed in how the last couple of games have gone, but we will dive into that momentarily.
Yeah. Like first off, I got a new camera and microphone that because of the drive, I drove to and from Atlanta, and it was like a 10-hour drive, 9-hour drive. So basically, I literally got home, unpacked my stuff, and then came to do this. So I tried to get some of the stuff working, wasn't able to with the time constraints and stuff. So you guys will see that next podcast, and hopefully it's more improved visuals and audio for all you amazing audio listeners. But I did get a Jared verse alternative rivalry jersey shirt that I'll probably rock on next pod. I know you'll appreciate that. I've wanted something from Jared Verse. Probably gonna try to get a jersey of his from my next birthday or so. But he had a big play in the game. But let's do we want to go over news first or go over the game experience? Like
Yeah, so I mean, really, there's not a whole lot of news going on right now, other than Torrey Holt is a finalist again for the seventh year in a row for the Hall of Fame. Hopefully, he gets in. He should have been in, several years ago. He is going up against um, uh, some tough rival or some tough competition going into this. But like I think I put a post out today. I mean, you look at this guy's stats and you're just unsure why in the world he is still not in the Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts about him being a finalist again?
I mean, we say it every year. He should be in like most of that team. That team was just historic on so many levels. It's kind of silly not to have him in there. So hopefully he does.
Yep, for sure. Really,
Yeah.
that's the only news around,
Mm.
other than the disappointing game.
Yeah. So I did take a few pictures. I'll probably post some on Twitter. I already did a little bit. I try to enjoy the games when I go, for the most part, because I'm like when I'm at home and stuff, I'm taking notes for the podcast, and I try to enjoy the experience because I don't get to do that very often. So, going to this game, Zach, let me first off say I love the Atlanta Stadium. I've been there once before to see Atlanta United versus Columbus Crew MLS game. It's a fantastic stadium. The food is probably the best NFL stadium food I have ever had. Um, Especially the main entrees. I know the Raven Stadium. I didn't try any of their main entrees, but they had a lot of good snacks. Like their churros were fantastic. But Atlanta, like everything smelled great. Everything tasted great. They have a Chick-fil-A in there, so we got to actually eat that, and it was open, so we ate that too. It was just overall like we because we got there early enough. We ate a snack, ate an entree, and then ate a little bit of Chick-fil-A too. So it was good food. Stadium is well designed. Getting in and out of the stadium was actually relatively quick and efficient, and I loved my seats. So I could see everything. And the Halo board, they say, I like it. It's a good scoreboard compared to other stadiums. So the actual game experience and everything they put on, the games and stuff, that was all top notch and done well. So I really did enjoy the actual game experience. Now, pivoting to the game experience, going through and experiencing this game, Zach, it was a
Oh
fun.
boy.
It was. I don't know if it was funner on TV. It wasn't funner in person for 3 quarters, or
Yeah.
let's say 2 quarters and 70% of the third quarter. This was a miserable game to watch in person. To see, let's just be frank, the lack of serious execution and effort put by our team compared to Atlanta, it was noticeable. It really was. I mean, Atlanta's defense looked like they really wanted this win. Their linebackers and cornerbacks were excellent in tackling. I mean, probably the best tackling team, ironically, even better than the Seahawks. And they're great at tackling. The best tackling team I've seen this season. And you could just see they were popping. They had full burst of energy. They're running to the ball consistently. And it was really it just felt like this Rams team didn't have energy until that blocked field goal. It really did.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, this team had no juice. And for a team that was going into this game, you know, really on the side of one of the best tackling teams in football, especially throughout the first 15 weeks, they just have completely flipped the script again. And we're going back to this team where, that's the one thing that we would complain about the defense the most is the tackling at the second and third level. And God almighty, we
it was
said this
terrible on the
last.
first level.
No, and that's what I was about to say that. I was like,
Okay.
you're looking at it and, the amount of times that Verse, Landman, Young, Kobe Turner, all these players are missing, Bijan should have been hit well before the line of scrimmage at least 3 or 4 times. And instead he extends it and gets, 7 or 8 yards because they missed the tackle. And, I love I love Verse, but I thought he was struggling a lot in the first half because he was missing all of those tackles. If it really wasn't for the blocked punt and taking it back to the house, or blocked field goal and taking it back to the house, like I think he would have had a really disappointing game. And I had I think it's it's always funny as fans. I was repping my black rivalry verse jersey, and halftime I took it off. I went upstairs and I switched out and I put on a Puka jersey because I was like, I just can't handle this right now. I need something to change, and the only thing that I can do to help change this game is to change my jersey. And clearly that at least worked a little bit because hey, they actually started to score points in the second half. But yeah, the defense was just, it wasn't. You kind of look at the stats, they only allowed 2 touchdowns, which is
2 explosives.
And 2 explosives. But, that's what this defense can do. They usually will let up a touchdown or 2. But when you add into the fact that the offense played horribly, really from all levels outside of really Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua, outside of those 2, like everything was really falling apart at the wheels.
Ferguson was doing great. He just wasn't targeted.
He did a good job, and we finally see what the spark is with him. But all around, like obviously he wasn't targeted enough, but Puka was making catches. They were just getting called back, or kind of put a little bit farther out than he can get to. So yeah, we'll continue to break down this game, but from top to bottom, yes, we had special teams played better, but really it was Jared Verse. I mean, it was really defensive play that really held that one up. They didn't really allow any explosive, returns. But again, it was not fun to watch
No, no,
outside of maybe two or three throws.
it wasn't. And we can go and break down offense and defense, but like the biggest thing, and I kept on having a lot of friends and family like come up to me or like text and like call me and like asking like, are you upset? Are you like they normally do that after a game. And I was like, same thing with Carolina game. I was like, I wasn't upset at all. I was like, the Rams didn't deserve to win this game. They didn't. Now, they should have won it, and we can talk about that near the end. They should have won this game. And a part of that is, I would say majority of that is on them, that they put in the hands of the officials in the first place, let alone put themselves in that situation to make it that close. Just execute earlier in the game and you don't have to worry about that. You don't even put it anywhere near. It's same thing with a lot of all these losses. I would say all of them, probably besides maybe the Eagles game, but even then, it's all within their hands, where if they execute right and they do what they need to do, they don't get in these situations at the end of games. And the way they started out, these are probably the worst like first three quarters I can think of for a Rams team, probably ever since that Bills game in what, 22, 21.
Yeah, I mean, Sean McVay has only ever been shut out of a first half 3 times in his head coaching career. And so that says a lot as it is. And I don't know, you go up, you're 21-0 in the half, and you're just not feeling good because, this team has never been this comeback from a big deficit team. They keep it close. Nope. Or they overpower and are able to kind of keep a lead for majority of their games. But it was a miracle that they came back and tied it up, towards the end. But the defense just couldn't contain the run. And it's something that they've faced good running backs this year, and they've been able to contain that. But for some reason this year, they just can't. This game, they couldn't contain it. And I know there's injuries going on.
In my opinion, they are missing Quentin Lake so much. And that's why the second level was having a lot of issues, was not having Quentin Lake, not even having our secondary star in there. And then the first level was also not tackling like they typically have. Like Poona Ford didn't have a great game like he's had all year. He's been one of our most consistent players. He didn't have a great game. The entire D-line, pressure-wise and run-wise, did not have a great game. Say what you want in the last few weeks, they might not have been getting pressures, but they've been really good on their run blocking assignments, not allowing running backs to get through the gaps that they want to, the way they see it. Not this game. And Bijan's a great player. Like, let's give Bijan a little bit of credit because he is a top-tier NFL back. We just expect this D-line, as much as we laud them, to be better and be elite. And that's the issue with this defense, is when they are not elite, you see the holes really quickly, especially in the cornerbacks.
Yeah, so I kind of want to talk about the defense some more before we jump into the offense and kind of talk about like the bottom of what happened. I mean, so you look at the PFF scores, and I know PFF isn't everything, but you look at the bottom tier, and Brandon Fisk, Jared Verse, Spites, Kitchens, and Ford, those were the bottom in the PFFs. You had Verse, who had only three pressures, and missed 5 tackles. I mean, and they were clearly, I mean, and some of these tackles would have been, loss of yards if he could have tripped him up. And we've said this before. Sometimes I think Verse is so quick to get to it that he overdoes it a little bit, and he misses. And I saw that.
Well, he has this issue with quarterbacks, right? Like, we have seen this with this edge group. They struggle to actually finish. They've gone better this year, but that was a huge issue last year. And even with running backs last year a little bit, like, this is the first game we've seen it kind of move over into the running back. Like, and Bijan's good, but when you have 2 or 3 people, you can't have one player cause 2 or 3 people miss on a single play. Like, one player, I get it. 2 or 3, you got to be better than that. And our guys are better than that. They have stopped elite running backs this year.
They have. I mean, like you mentioned, Puna Ford, he didn't have a great day. He only had 1 pressure, didn't miss tackles, but he only had 1 stop. Spates had 2 missed tackles and pressuring Cousins only once from a blitz. Fisk, he was limited to 13 snaps. He's still dealing with kind of that ankle injury, only 1 pressure and 1 tackle assist. You kind of look at some of the positives for the defense. I think Witherspoon played really well. He was only targeted 1 time and didn't allow a catch. So that's a positive. Why he wasn't playing as much in the Seattle game, not quite sure. Turner had the 1 pressure, 2 missed tackles. Probably, but he seemed healthy enough to start playing, since Carolina. So I thought the Thursday Night Football against Seattle would have been a prime time to put him back in. Young had a total of 4 pressures, no missed tackles, having a combined 8 tackles. Curl led the team with 9 tackles, almost had a pick, which would have been great, and only allowing just 21 yards on 3 targets.
Yeah, I would say probably Curl had the best game out of anyone in the defense.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame Witherspoon. I mean, he was only targeted once, and he was.
No, I don't blame him. I think Witherspoon didn't have to do much out in the air. Like, they were just able to run, and our DBs couldn't make tackles. That, like, they were getting 6-7 yards a pop.
You're right. I mean, Kirk Cousins only had 126 yards in passing. Crazy that, they won with 126 in the air yards. He was 13 for 20 with only 1 TD. Bijan had 22 carries for 195 yards. We had 13 carries with Kyron Williams for 92 yards. Most of that bulk of the carry was because Corum obviously got sidelined with an ankle injury. Looked like he probably could have came back into play if they really wanted to, but really Kyron Williams in the second half started to get some more explosive plays, hitting a little bit more than what happened in the first half. So that was at least pleasant to see. 0 sacks from the Rams. Again, this is something where the Rams really, they like the pressure. But they have not been able to get home hardly at all over the last several weeks. And they really got to adjust that. They got to finish the play. They got to choke the quarterback a little bit more.
I would say it was not really a big issue this game, just because, like, they weren't really throwing deep. They threw deep once. I believe, like, he threw past 30 yards one time. So, like, you didn't really have an opportunity to, because everything else they were doing was working. The quick slants, quick passes, curls, and runs down the middle were just, and he would bounce it outside. That's all they needed to do, that and screens, and they were able to effectively ball control, and I think that's this team's kryptonite, is, and it has been for McVay since he's been the coach, is if you can get a lead, make the Rams play from behind, and ball control and control the time of possession, the Rams need miracles, or
except that they
basically calls to go the other way.
Except, I mean, the time of possession was mostly equal, plus the Rams had a little bit more time than them. So,
Well, I'm saying in
this
general. Like,
I know,
in
I know
this
what you're saying,
game,
but it felt like the Rams had multiple opportunities. The Falcons offense wasn't on the field for that long. They were taking 2 to 3 minutes long. A lot of what you're referring to, I feel like, and I agree with you that a lot of these games that they lose or almost lose to, the other team is taking up 5-6 minutes a drive.
yeah.
They got lucky in this one that didn't happen as much. It's more of I see a couple threes, some twos, kind of keeping in that range. Didn't really have so many the big chunk plays. But yeah, they got to get off the field. And sometimes this defense, we love the bend don't break, but who boy, you get one explosive play out, they're completely broken.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, I think the offense was so bad. It
Yeah.
was putting so much strain on this defense in the first two
Let's
quarters.
let's talk
You
about
could
that
get.
offense.
Do you want to talk about the O-line first?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the biggest struggle that we have with this game. Um, that was the worst performance of an offensive line that we've seen all year. Obviously, going into
Oh
this
yeah, by
game,
far.
you are down from the game. You're down 3 original starters. Obviously, we find a kind of a shining star that replaced Havenstein, and so that's been great. So kudos to that. But man, losing Dotson and then not having Alaric Jackson just was brutal. I think they could have got a bye without Dotson, but having Alaric Jackson out just completely destroyed all positivity of this game. It was the reason why we lost this game. I think they could have even overcome the 3 Stafford turnovers if they had Alaric in there.
Yeah, I mean, I actually met Alaric's cousin in the line for Chick-fil-A, and that was really cool. She was super nice, but we really missed him. We really missed him because DJ Humphries
He was bad.
wasn't it. It wasn't it. That penalty.
The multiple penalties. I mean, it wasn't just one
He had
penalty that cost us the game. I mean, obviously the one to Puka and the touchdown was really bad. But 2 big catches for Puka. I mean, both of them were for Puka, right? The one was a TD, and then one was, I think, somewhere in like the 10-yard line. Like it. And again, they had to settle for a field goal instead of a touchdown. And so again, those are points that you need to have. Committed one, allowed 4 pressures, 1 sack, and then obviously, like I said, the 2 penalties was just brutal, just brutal.
I don't know why. Not every team has good backup linemen, but it's just frustrating that I feel like our level of play dropped so significantly with our second
I
and
just don't
the
know why we
level of
weren't
tier
giving
linemen
him
in the
more
last 2
support.
years. In the last 2 years, it has been when you just see these guys come in, they just look like they haven't played at all. And DJ Humphries is a veteran. Like he's started NFL games and he's doing that still. It's
Yeah, I mean
crazy.
Humphries. I mean he was an
It really is.
original first round pick. I think he was pick number 25. When he was drafted. So he had promise. He had the ability to be something. At least from the
Crazy.
draft perspective, and it was just bad. I mean, I don't know why we couldn't put AJ Curry. I know he was activated and brought back up. At some point I would have just been like, get this guy
I
out
don't
of
know
here
if
and
he
let's
would
just.
have been much better.
Who knows? I mean, I really don't know.
He,
I mean, it was bad.
eh,
I mean, Shelton didn't have much
Curry
better
hasn't
of a
looked good.
game.
Sheldon had a terrible game. Let's be honest. The only one who had a good game was probably our right tackle. That's all. Everyone else had their moments. And Atlanta's pass
I mean,
rush is
McClendon was top
underrated.
5 in
It's not
PFF.
bad. It's not a bad pass rush. Like, adding to those two rookie pass rushers has helped Atlanta a lot. But this line, they have been in last, let's say, 8 games, a top 5 NFL offensive line. Stafford is too old to be getting that amount of pressure. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, he handled it like a champ. At least, you know, he did well enough. But again, you know, you really got to protect that guy. You know, you got to protect your MVP candidacy, and he did not have an MVP night at all. Obviously, there's some plays that I felt like were taken away from him. But, you know, throwing 3 picks, one of them pick 6, you know,
he
might have done him in.
It. I mean,
high risk, high reward, though.
Yeah, and I was about to say, like, the thing that has made him an MVP is, like, these crazy small window throws that, like, most NFL QBs wouldn't even attempt because they would get benched because of it, because they could never make it. And you see this game, he's a hair too high. I think, from my point of view, was it Mump that I think it was his first pick and it sailed over. It was the pick 6. Was that the Mump or Tutu?
Say that again.
The pick 6, he sails it over him because he tries to throw a high ball.
I think it was to Mumfield.
Yeah, and it's just too high for Mumfield, and it, you know,
just
like,
perfectly goes to Bates, and you know,
that's not a great defensive play. He was just happened to be there. It was just Stafford tried to thread a needle on. It would have been a great play if it was just half an inch lower, and Mumfield caught it. Like, that's a hard catch, and it's a low percentage throw. But, like, Stafford throws those often and can make those crazy throws. So, do you want to take away his aggression? That's the thing about having a gunslinger, is you're going to get some bad picks from time to time when everything mechanically doesn't 100% work out. And yeah, I mean, the second pick was what he was throwing. I think it was also to Mumfield, and he underthrows it. And didn't they call OPI too? It looked like it was possible defensive pass interference, but they called OPI a Mumfield, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up. So the first interception
is the pick 6, but the second interception.
Yeah, the second interception was to it was a penalty on Xavier Smith.
So it was on X, and I think he wasn't double covered. It was single coverage, but the safety comes over for help by the time it's thrown. So I wonder there. I know some people are saying it's a bad throw.
He said it was Stafford. A push off. I mean, the thing was that they said that he pushed off. I remember that one. Yeah, they said that he pushed off of the linebacker because the linebacker was flying with Xavier Smith, and you know the safety was able to cut him off and you know, intercept the ball.
Oh, so that's a push off, but the guy like wrapping around Terrell wrapping around Tutu's arms isn't DPI. Okay, is that how we're playing that? Do you want to talk about like Puka's comments? I know we talked about it a little bit. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I think that's really affecting the Rams with the refs.
You know,
and it's not to say the Rams lost this game because of the refs, but I don't think they're getting fair in the last 2 games. I think they're getting hosed and not getting any favors by the refs because of Puka's comments.
Yeah, I do feel like there's been when I'm watching the defense out there, I do feel like the defense is getting a lot of not getting holding calls on them. I felt like
Yeah.
Atlanta was holding, our defensive linemen, like pretty extravagantly. I don't know. You look at it and you're like, well, if you look at the penalty score, the Rams had 4 penalties for 35 yards. The Falcons had 7 penalties for 42 yards, including where a player or a coach ran into an official, and that
Yeah, but
pushed
that's
them.
all process. So like my issue with that, like when people bring that up, is just like those are all process. They're calling process fouls on other teams, but nothing else. Nothing that's a judgment foul, right? Like illegal formations. They're calling on the other teams. The running into official. That's just like a, you know what I mean? That's just a function foul.
Yeah,
But when it's
and you
like a
heard,
DP or a holding or anything like that, they haven't really gone out of their way to call obvious stuff.
and it's it kind of gets a little bad when you start seeing the commentators start noticing these types of things, and even when they bring in their like rules official, they're like, yeah, that was, I don't know why that wasn't called that way, like that was a clear OPI, or that was a clear hold, or that was, they got away with an illegal, a false start or something like that. And
It
yeah, it's
was So I still haven't seen a replay. Like I said, I've been driving. I got to the hotel at 1 o'clock at night and then drove entirely. Was that a catch by Puka? Like, what's your opinion on that final
yeah,
catch?
yeah, I mean, it probably wasn't a catch. It was an amazing catch. Either way, I mean, he was able to secure the ball or whatever. There was a slight lift of the ball. Again, at all angles, you can't tell if it actually left his body, but you see a little bit of movement in one of the angles. Um, you know, it looks like a catch from all angles except for one, where you see maybe a little bit of movement. The ball didn't come off of him. It's one of those things too where Puka is making these catches each and every week. I'm almost getting tired of saying how many good weird catches that he has. And
Yeah, at least that, and not to cut you off, but at least that is one where, like, me and you can be like, we can see it either way, right? Like, if they
yeah,
call that a catch and completed, it'd be like, I can see our argument for why that's catch, or
I am not
we can see the
complaining that
argument.
wasn't a catch.
Yes.
I'm not complaining. It was a good attempt. He did get both feet down. In one of the angles, you saw some movement. Again, you look at it, and that's the one thing you have to see. And it's, if you see some movement, you're going to have to say that's probably going to be an incomplete pass.
I mean, I think the game came down to that first down play when they get the ball back with 20 seconds left, 22 seconds, and you have a wide receiver.
Yeah.
You hit him 9 times
Well,
out of 10, he gets a touchdown right
there were
there.
a lot of things. Like, again, you saw McVay's frustration with this game afterwards. I mean, I don't know if you watched his press conference afterwards, but
No, I didn't get a chance.
he was not happy. I mean, the first question was asked, "Are you
The
going to play your
execution was
starters next
awful.
week?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're going to play. They need to get better. Like, did you not want, like, we're not resting people if they can't even play well firstly." So he was angry, and I mean,
Yeah.
rightfully so. At some point, I'm almost tired of blaming McVay and his play calling. It comes down to execution, and if you don't execute, that's a problem. I think McVay had one bad call, in my opinion, of the night, and that was the first 4th and 1 going for it. When it was 4th and 6, I was actually for it. I was like, it's risky, it's ballsy, but at this point, what is there to lose? But that first one, when it's 0-0, you have the opportunity to, kick a field goal, to get some points on the board. As much as, I know that they want to be aggressive with it, you have a banged up O line and you're trying to, run the ball in. Again, I would have been maybe a little bit more conservative on that first drive.
I think with how the energy and how the game was going, I think it was the right choice. I haven't had an issue with a lot of the games we have lost in McVay's play calling. Like the people who try to say he got conservative in against the Seahawks when he really didn't. It was just bad execution. This is a perfect example of a play that was a good called play. It was open on the right side for a run. Humphreys just got blown by. He got blown by. He lost. He didn't make his assignment. He gets that block. High percentage chance we get that first down.
Oh, 100%
That's just the truth
agree.
of it. So the play call isn't the issue.
But I get right. Again, what I'm saying is, what personnel you have on the field, and that
you should
have.
Expect that.
That is, again, I am agreeing with you that I think McVay had actually a really good outcome. That's the one play that I would have questioned, only because you have a banged up O-line. And, if it was a fully healthy O-line that we had, or at least Alaric Jackson was in there, go ahead, do it. And if it happened, then yeah, I mean, it was a good play. But
that's not McVay's mentality. His mentality is if you're going out on that field as a starting 11, you're playing the same quality as anyone else. And me and you, we both agree on the fact that it's a little naive to look at your situations. And I can remember watching that Bengals game on TV and watching our backup left tackle go against Hendrickson on an island for an entire game and get bullied for no reason, no chips, no. So McVay does have this thing where I feel like, can we not do that? Can we realize that our left tackles get bullied? Can we give them a little bit of help and adjust? McVay is very bad about it. He wants to do one thing. He has a game plan, and he doesn't change it until halftime. Typically, he does not adjust quickly. He's really good at adjusting, especially compared to other coaches. But mid-quarter, he wants something to work, and he's going to keep on having the boys try to execute it to varying degrees of success. And this week it just wasn't great execution, and we really missed Davante Adams. And I'm very disappointed in how Mumfield had a good game. Mumfield had a very weird game.
X too. I think X did too. I mean, he had mistakes, but then he had great catches.
Yeah. Up and down.
It was a Jekyll and Hyde situation. I got really mad at X, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then the next catch, I'm like, "He just caught it for 30 yards," and and it was that back and forth battle, both Mumfield and X. I was like, "What is going on? What are we doing?"
Whittington, he doesn't have faith apparently, or the coaching staff doesn't have faith in Whittington anymore for some reason. I don't know where he disappeared. Tutu is just like, we paid him $10 million to get cardio. Like, it's not his fault. He looks open anytime he's on the field. He's just not playing even with Adams out.
I mean, I was looking at the snap counts, and Whittington and Atwell played 13 of the snaps of the 65 snaps. And I think Tutu's was mostly at the very end of the game. I mean, that's really when I think I saw him sprinkled a little bit early on, but really it was the end of the game when I started seeing him out on the field. And yeah, it's kind of bizarre that they've now put X and Mumfield kind of in that wide receiver 2 and 3 field. And, Ferguson and Atwell have kind of been dunked down to 4 and 5.
I mean, yeah, it was a really weird game plan on offense, and I feel like going into the draft, we got to get a wide receiver that's more bigger and physical, because especially if we keep Stafford. That's just he keeps
Is
on throwing these types of balls, like these fades, where like if the guy was just a little bit bigger, you could tell like he would. It's more clear when defensive pass interference happens, and it's a little bit harder for him to get bullied by some of these corners. And that's the problem with like Mumfield and X is when you're throwing these fades to him, unlike Devontae can fight through a small DB or like some of these linebackers and like get to the ball. These guys can't, and they get kind of bullied on the way to the catch point.
something that I'm throwing this out there as a question to you. See if you've noticed this too. But does it feel like even when Devontae is on the field, like him and Puka seem to be off the field more than I would think they should be? It always feels like we get something with Puka, then he's off the field for like a drive or
Well,
two, and then he's
that's
back
because
on the
of
field.
13 personnel. That's why.
Right.
Especially against
It's
teams
just
with
weird.
defenses.
It just feels weird to not see your star players on the field more often than I feel like they used to do in the past. But
And
that you're
the
right, it's
run
the personnel
blocking,
packages.
I think the run blocking because of the backup linemen was really bad to start out this game. And
Mm-hmm.
like by the time I kind of disagree with, I did hear some commentary of people saying like, the run was working in the fourth quarter, you got to stick with it. I'm like, by the time it started working, you were already against the clock. And the chances you winning were so small, you can't run and clock yourself. And that's why that called back Puka touchdown was so big in the game, because if he gets the touchdown then, they have 2 more minutes on the clock with the Panthers basically trying to run out the clock, kick a field goal, and forcing us in basically pseudo Hail Mary situation.
In 2 of those 3, we was almost ours for the
Should have
money.
been at least game tying plays. 2 of
Yeah.
them should have been game tying plays.
The
At
2-2
minimum.
one, if he would have caught it and he would have fell inside, it would have been very close to get the ball and spike it down there. That would have been the closer
I
one
think they could have
if he would
spiked
have
it.
caught.
I
It
think
just
they would have been able to spike it, but it would have been
It's like
close.
14 seconds left with 14 seconds to get down there and spike the ball while the ref has to touch the ball. So gotta.
Yeah, but I would say out of all the teams that like can execute that at the level, like I feel like the Rams, maybe
How long?
not during this game, but
I would have to go back and watch the our favorite
the Cooper
play
Cup.
from the Cooper
Yeah.
Cup Stafford one and see how much time it took for them to like catch the ball and run down the
I
field and how
think
much
they
time
had
they had to
16
use.
seconds to do that, if I remember correctly.
Well, I'll go check and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game was ugly. I will
Yeah.
say there. While this episode's called "Can the Rams Get Back on Track?" I think they can. I want to be positive about this team because I do have full trust in this team. I have full trust in Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, McVay. I like the scheme that we're running. You look at what we've done in the past. I mean, yes, we lost to Seattle, but Stafford was having
They should
a
have won that game.
they were having a really good game. Passing for over 500 yards for multiple games in a row now. We're getting to the point where, we're going to get players back for the postseason. We're going to get Quentin Lake back. We're going to hopefully get Josh Wallace back. We're going to get Alaric Jackson, the Devontae Adams. He's pretty much ready to go. I think if they needed him to play for a playoff spot, he would have played. Kevin Dotson, I think, is our only question mark of whether he will be back in time for the playoffs or, a deep push into the playoffs. Havenstein, whether he actually has a spot left or not, he would still be at least depth piece that we'll have back. Higbee, these are all pieces that we're going to be getting back, and it's going to bring more energy. It's going to bring better communication with bringing Quentin Lake back. This team is ready, and they're ready to fight. I think this team is ready to they're ready to rip someone's face off. And the Cardinals may be that team, or whoever we play first week in the bye or first week in the playoffs. I think they're mad now. I think they were upset after the Seahawks game, kicking themselves a little bit. But I think after the Falcons lost, they're just downright angry.
Yeah, I just felt like the energy, the team didn't have the energy in the entire first half. And that is something, if you start off a playoff game like that, you're going to lose 9 times out of 10. You can't do that. And it took a blocked field goal, first time in like 50 years, returning for a touchdown, a 10-point swing for you to have a chance in this game. Can't do that in playoffs. So they played themselves into a 5th seed. This is a team that 2 or 3 weeks ago very easily could have been number 1 seed, hosting playoff games, not having to worry about weather. So, like, they kind of did it to themselves, and they got to prove it to everyone else that, I still think this is the best Rams team I've seen under McVay, but they play down the teams. That's just simple. They play down the teams and they play up the teams. And you got to finish games, and they have just lost in crazy ways because they just haven't been able to. They're not clutch.
I think we do. We have clutch players. I feel like
it hasn't come through this year. Just being frank.
I mean, I think it has. I mean, you're going into a season where you were able to clinch the playoffs like 3 weeks ago. Most teams didn't clinch the playoffs until this past week, and this team has had a lot of energy. They have had a tougher schedule than most teams have. I think, what is it, the second toughest season that they've had. I want to look at it of the optimistic side of it, is that this team has the pieces. We've seen it happen. We've seen them stuff the run. We've seen them put pressure on quarterbacks, be able to make them make bad throws. We've seen Matthew Stafford, do his magic multiple times. It doesn't matter. You look at some of the losses that we have had, early on the season when it was against the Eagles. It was special teams that was causing the problem. It wasn't our defense. It wasn't our offense per se. It was our special teams. We couldn't kick a field goal to save our life. We couldn't, stop them from, returning the ball to save our life. And so all of these things are starting to get fixed. We've hit some injury bounds, which I think is showing some of the cracks in our armor. But once you start filling those cracks back in with the players that we've been missing, the weapons that we've been missing, I think you're going to see this Rams rebound. And we're going into 2026. We're done with December, which feels like it's been a hellhole for this Rams team when they're usually really good in December. But we're getting out of it. We're starting a new year. We got to think positive because, this team is successful. And I feel like whether they have to play on the road or not, this team is built to handle any situation. And you're right, where they play up or play down to a player, but every team that they come up against is beatable. Yes, we are beatable too, but I think this team really is something special and that they can overcome these challenges.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to just put in the words is the fact that I think this team is to level of, it could be elite if they stop shooting themselves in the foot on offense and defense. And I feel like both sides are top 5 units to the point where if they can get the special teams just be average and everyone else does their jobs and we get a little bit more healthy, like you said, you know me, I'm honest about this team. I think they should be the Super Bowl favorites.
I think they still
just
are.
do not play. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But they aren't playing like it against certain teams. And you can't do that in playoffs. Frankly. And I just hope they learn these lessons when they have a margin for error, because in playoffs, that goes away. And if you
Well,
start
yeah,
off slow,
I mean, once you're in the playoffs, you're playing the best of the best. It doesn't matter
yeah,
anymore. Every team earned their spot to get in there, and it's going to be a hard road each and every week. Um,
yeah,
you
you
know,
can point like, oh, we'll be playing a NFC South team. It's like we'll be
maybe
playing two teams that beat us,
we're
right?
guessing
At
that we might be a fifth seed. We still have to face Atlanta, and we have to have Seattle beat the 49ers. I mean,
well,
if the 49ers beat Seattle and we lose to Atlanta, then we're the sixth seed. I don't even know if we win, we're the sixth seed.
no. So basically, if the Seahawks lose, no matter what, we're the sixth seed. It doesn't matter. If the 49ers win and we win, we become the fifth seed. That's basically how that goes down. So how I look at it is we're either facing a NFC South team that at home where we've lost at both of their homes against both of those teams, or a Eagles team at home when we lost at their home on the road.
Tampa,
Those are
or
the two options.
we beat
And then
Tampa.
potentially the Bears, but that's low. I would say lower percentage.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not going to be easy, like you said, and people just pointing out like it's NFC South, like they beat us, guys. Like those are the teams that just beat us
Well,
in less
only
weeks.
only Carolina. Tampa Bay did not beat us.
True, true. I mean, I really don't think Tampa Bay will end up being the one that comes out. I would be surprised
Sure. Yeah.
if we're playing Tampa Bay, but
Yeah.
I would have to
Again,
see if their O line is healthy or not going into that game. That would be very big there. But
right.
we'll preview that after next week, and we'll talk about like it sucks, Zach. I was looking forward to me and you having a break, having a week off, but I guess it'll make it a little bit more sweet if the Rams can put on a run and beat the
No, it'll be good.
Seahawks place to go to the Super Bowl at the
Yeah.
49ers place, or
Yeah. Obviously this team has something special within it. I agree with you. I think we still need one more receiver to really kind of ice things out. But we're kind of doing that more 13 personnel. So do you need another receiver other than having
yes.
Devontae in there? If you're going to be heavily in
Either
13
that or
personnel.
another tight end in the first round, in my opinion.
I'm talking about now. I'm talking about right now because
Oh yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah. I
we're
got you.
we're in the position that we have to run now. So I don't know.
You can't
I
do
think
13 personnel with the O line how it is now. It just doesn't work because you can't
no,
even get to the edges because
no.
people
You
panic.
really need to just go back to 11 personnel and have one of your
Yes,
tight ends help chip if you need to,
basically.
if you do have Alaric's out again or something like that. I think that's the route you would have to go. You'd have to, but then you're re-engineering pretty much your whole entire season because I don't know how often they've been doing 11 personnel. It's not very often.
No, and it's really hard with I would say the type of wide receivers we have now because we only have one really without Devontae in the lineup. Only Puka is like a real big physical like yak type of
Yeah.
receiver. Then you're just hoping like the other guys can run routes and get open and like we said, this game is indicative. Like you get a mixed bag of results with those guys, and we just don't have a three that wins consistently enough. Apparently, like Whittington doesn't anymore. So you got to draft that guy if you don't have him. Basically, is what I'm saying. It can't just be Puka and Devontae is getting up there in age. He's gonna be banged up the older he gets more consistently. That's just age.
Yeah, I mean that comes with almost every receiver, running back situation. An offensive weapon is the older you get, the more hits and bruises are going to stay a little bit longer. So let's, before we wrap this thing up, I know we're kind of hitting max time here, but the one thing that the Rams could pick up is a cornerback. Today that the Cowboys released Trevion Diggs and moved on from him. He's been there for 6 years, and yes, he's now available. Is this something that you think that the Rams are going to look into for one game plus a playoff push?
I mean,
they would have to pay him almost just under $500,000 for that last game.
I really don't know how quickly he could get integrated into defense or if he fits with our system. I'm not opposed to it just because I feel like outside of Akello, I think Forbes is a decent to good cornerback 3, right? I think he's worth keeping around and like investing in his development further, and maybe he can become a really good cornerback 2, right, in the future. Akello's just, he's getting up there in age. He won't be able to be a cornerback 1 forever, and even then he's like an average cornerback 1 in the NFL. He's solid, but he's not elite. We're gonna have to get depth in that room, and if you want to throw him in, see what he got, kind of like what we did with Akello, and just see if he's worth, especially even for next year. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I don't think he would be an instant contributor. Now,
Yeah.
It's not hard to outplay some of our depth cornerback like players, to be honest. Like Kobe is another guy who's like, he's had his moments, but for the most part, he's really struggled, especially man, against wide receiver 1s and wide receiver 2s, and even wide receiver 3s. Like deep wide receiver teams just eat us alive in man. Like we can't play a lot of man.
Yeah. I mean, it's something to think about, especially, you're looking at someone who's had 63 starts, 20 interceptions in his career, 63
He's
total breakups.
He's very he's like a lot of like reward or risk.
Yeah, I mean, high risk, high reward.
Yeah, he's very reminiscent of the last year of Marcus Peters, or the last. I would not last year. I would say like maybe 2019 Marcus Peters, where he's not completely. Maybe that was his last year, but or like second half 2018 Marcus Peters, where he's not completely locked down, but he will make you pay if you make a mistake and you throw his way, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. It would be a very high risk, and for something that you have to try to get him integrated into your system, adding someone into the defensive culture this late in the year could just do a lot. Is it really just getting him in, because you need him, or is it because, it's that star name power that he has? Like you said, he hasn't really. Oh, I know, but that's what the fans all think. Hey, he's available. It's a big star name, without doing all the digging and the research and knowing, like, really over the last, 2 to 3 seasons, he has not looked like himself at all.
No, he's always been that a player, though. He's always been like Marcus Peters. I would say he's like
I think his first few years were quite good.
I'm not saying he was bad. I'm just saying he's very much like Marcus Peters. He makes a lot of great plays. He's always had moments where you can catch him cheating a little too high or something like that and just throw it straight past him. And it's just, he blows his assignments often. He has great instincts, but it gets him in trouble. And I don't know if fans want that also on this defense, right? Hey, maybe with Dallas hasn't really had a great D line outside of Parsons before they traded him. Maybe with a better D line where quarterbacks have less time to throw, his instincts will work better. Like that could help out his play style. Who knows? I don't think the Rams will go for it just because they're very hesitant to bring people in that quickly. But we'll see. I definitely I definitely could see argument for it. I'm personally would be for it, but I just we'll see.
Yep, we'll see what the Rams want to do in this short time frame. But they will be battling it out against the Cardinals on Sunday, not during any sort of primetime game. I kind of want to go back and look. Like, did the Rams lose every primetime game that they had available to them this year? Because it sure feels that way. 2 Thursday night games, a Monday night game. We had a Sunday night game too. I can't remember what that one was. I'm trying to remember where that one was. Was that the Eagles? Did we play the Eagles on Sunday night?
No, the Eagles I think was a 4:00 game.
I feel like I'm
no.
Oh, it was a 1:00 game. Anyways, just feels like we've done bad in primetime games. So going back, going to be in SoFi one last time this season. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting run that the Rams have.
Yeah, you want to try to win and get. I always think try to get the highest seed you can, just because it increases your chances of a home playoff game. And I think with this team, travel has been an issue, and hopefully they can prove us wrong. And prove everyone else wrong, starting the wild card round. So we'll see how it goes, and it looks like all the starters will be in against Arizona, Zach, and they got to perform. Got to do good.
You got to do good. I mean, you got to show us something. This team needs to get back into rhythm, and the only way to do it is to play. I mean, it's just kind of how it is. You got to be able to play, and you got to be able to work it out. Got to find all the kinks and figure out what's happening and what's not.
Oh, well, there wasn't a lot happening in the first half of last week, so.
No, but they'll adjust. I do think that they'll adjust. They don't want to be. I
agree.
They had a good game against the Seahawks. Just some miscues. Last night was atrocious. Stafford had probably the worst nights that he's. I mean, he's had the worst night that he had all season long. Very uncharacteristic of him to have that bad of a game. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But excited to see where this Rams team can move from these 2 losses, and it's gonna be.
They can make a run, man. They can make a run. I still believe this is the best Rams team I've seen under McVay. I think this is still the best team in the NFL. They just got to play like it, and they got to get healthy, and they got to get their stuff together, because that's how they've lost games. It really has.
Yep, and they got some tough competition coming up against them in the playoffs, so they will need to get ready ASAP. But well, with that, I think we're going to wrap it up with this week's episode of the East Coast Rams podcast. You can find our videos always on demand at youtube.com/@EastCoastRams. Please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. Smash that notification bell so that you guys get notified anytime that we put out new videos. You can also find us on Spotify, iTunes. We're there if you go want to listen to us, on your commute to work. You could find us. Our main platform is on X at East Coast Rams. You could find Ashton on X as well at RamFanAshton1, me at Zach Mayer. We're also at Instagram and Threads at East Coast Rams Pod, and you can also search for us on Blue Sky at East Coast Rams. With that is Ashton. I am Zach, And we cannot wait to have one final Rams house in SoFi Stadium this Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. And after that, we could talk about playoffs. Playoffs? We're not talking about playoffs. No, we're talking about playoffs next week. So we'll see you guys then. Whose house? Rams house.